Hey, so greetings everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be focusing on animations. So if you kind of look at the other app that we're just working on right here, that it was basically a practice from one of the Flutter samples that we've kind of got this animation going. So essentially what I want to try to do is with this widget is that I want the animation to try to appear here like so. So these 1, 2, 3, they're going to be each of my containers, and they're going to fly out in succession like so. So let's try to see how that's going to work. Right, so let's close all the editors. It's going to be a bit of work. And go to our profile page. As we kind of see here, that actually this is a pretty big file, right? You could definitely split it up into into its own, but then looks like this is a notifier provider, so that's nice to know. It's good to know. Alright, so there's update user info, but let's try to see how this all kind of comes together, right? So we have a row here. There's like spacing. Oh, okay, this is a column, not a list view, essentially. Right, and then have an animated container. And if so I think I have a column. It's just one column. Alright, cool. So let's see. Right, so I believe this is going to be an animated container. So I think everything was supposed to be inside these rows, but we have our animated container out here like so, so it's okay. Right, so this is 1, this is kind of 2, that's expanded, the child is an animated container, and then this is where our elevated buttons were at. So the things I really care about is like these 3 animated containers, and essentially I don't want them to be like that, right? So I essentially don't want that. I don't want that to kind of happen. I'm going to try to do a little explicit animation. So, all right. So let's try to begin. All right. So essentially, right, what kind of needs to happen here is that we have these old methods. We have these. To try to remove those both. Say hide, and then kind of delete those 2, right? And now, what essentially kind of needs to happen here, right, is that we have like these containers where everything lives. We're going to need to figure out how to go about this. So, right, so let's try to. So before we kind of do that, let's try to just indicate that there's like 3, right? So like there's 3 containers we gotta try to do. Very good. And we're gonna need a couple of values that I kind of see here, right? So ultimately, we want to try to end up with ultimately, what we want to try to do is we want to try to end up with an animation duration for these values, right? And we can adjust them as needed, right? A bit of physics here. So let's see how this kind of works, right? So definitely don't need the button delay time on button time, so we're going to need those 2 values. Alright, so instead of say containers, many times we're going to share say containers. And then say it pods them out. Alright, so const. So it looks like it says static. And that's how we're going to access it, access the values that we kind of need. Yeah. So initial delay time and then the staggering time. So that's going to represent the animation. So now I just want to wonder. Right, so my controller is really not here, right? In implicit animations, our controller really isn't there. We just rely on animated container and let those values animate. But in explicit ones, right, we essentially want to try to keep these in as well. Right, so I have item slide intervals, right? So things kind of update in the subsequent fashion. And now, right, essentially what you want to do, you want to have this logic for a controller right here, right? So desync is this, that's the planet, right? Because I gotta extend this, I have to extend this class kind of further. Ooh. Yeah, I think I'm doing it and then in the wrong spot. So I know this may not need route over anymore. We're using Go Router, so I'll just remove this. But I'm just curious, would this work? Yeah, that will certainly work. Okay. Alright, so event status, animation status dismissed. Right, kind of control forward. Right, and then there's a go version forward that we kind of got going here. But that's where that's where that's from. And then we say it completed would be control reverse, but we're not looking to do that. We're just gonna leave this status as scenario. Right, so there's only that. Right, and we want it to immediately go on forward. Right, and then I think on dispose, if anything, we wanted to say now I wonder if it kind of resets. And then say dispose. And then usually, right, you want to try to wait for this to finish before you kind of dispose everything. So, but we could deal with this later. All right. So there's need that. Now, what I essentially want to do is I want to populate the item slide intervals. Right? So let's grab this function here. I'm going to take a close look at it. So it's going to dispose. Right, and now, now, so there's that. Not going to really use a button start time. We're not really having that, right? But now we got some. So now I have these animation intervals all set up. Nothing's kind of happening here, right? So if you kind of look at this, you know, we're just trying to add a staggered time. We're just trying to increase that staggered time, right? That we've all intended to use. Basically, it's going to take a delay, right? There's the initial delay time, and then there's that delay, so that we can get that effect, right? They call it stagger. Things animated in succession, it's called stagger. So that's what that's for. And then the end time is going to be the start time plus the item slide time. this is how long the island is kind of sliding. So that's what we kind of need right there. Right now, the trickier one is that we have our build list items, right? So if you kind of this function is going to be on the big side, on the bigger side, and essentially what you would want to happen is that the components in here, they kind of get moved to where they need it to be, right? So let's say pods amount, and then on the animation there's no controller, right? There's animate controller, right? There's a want to rename this symbol. Right, and then try to get rid of this, and then so the child is going to be padding, but we kind of won't have meaningful access to that, right? So basically, the child is going to be represented in those three ways. So all this has to go in place of, and then I wonder if there's any padding. It's not really any padding here. It's a size box with 10. I wonder if I meant to say height. What happens if I kind of move that? Nothing should really happen, but or anything. I kind of think I may know what that's for, but it's kind of a height instead of width type thing. So. There's no menu titles, right? So this child will not just turn into a container. So the container. For the time being, right? Refresh the page. I'll just go there again. See what's going on. Not a whole lot I kind of see that's different, so it's safe to say. But essentially, these children need to be kind of one of these three values, and so on and so forth. So what I'm essentially going to do not to rename this to container. Won't need a duration anymore. Yeah, I want to close this thing up a bit. Now I'm trying to make sure I'm not. Yeah, so this is the animated container. I think I might need this stack instead. Not the container itself. I actually want to use the transform widget, so we're going to go grab the stack, right? So, check method. Profile. Better. Let's see. Alright, nice. Just got the colors like so. Kind of move them in here. Right, so that's kind of still intact. Right, so this animated container, I want to grab the value there, right? So it's also going to be a stack, and then it's going to be online, if I'm not mistaken, right? So and I think so this one, now I'm going to So we're going to extract the method. Extract method, and then our update form. Right, and then definitely from the previous one, I can just take these values and hopefully kind of use these again. That's all it needs. Right, so that's kind of intact so far, so you kind of see there. And then for the third one, see it's expanded, right, to try to take the rest of the available space. So I might just grab this one. Alright, so there's that, and then I guess I can remove this. Alright, and then this, I think this whole thing, right, is going to need to see the alignment is actually at the top right, but I also see it expand. So I'm going to grab this, extract the method. Create user. And then also this is going to need looks like it also needs fonts as well, so we give it that. Right, good. So everything's kind of intact right there. And then we'll try to add another song just to boot. Alright, good. So there's that, right? So now, right, essentially what needs to happen is that kind of like this row, this is where that, so this row kind of needs to go. This animated container kind of needs to go. I'm not really leveraging anything here. Right, this is the user update form, and then if I'm not mistaken, it has its own, if I'm not mistaken. And I definitely want to be careful with this because I don't want to see it's a stack, but there's nothing for it to stack, so if I remove this child, it's just an extra widget there, so I don't necessarily need it. So all I'm going to need is this, maybe the align, right? If I go ahead and say this, and yeah, it doesn't want to align as intended, so. And then I think the row, and then, yeah, this one is not. Now I just want to double check if I'm not. So I see it's in all lines, so even if anything, I want to be careful. Definitely want to try to. I see I kind of like did different things with it, so yeah, this one I'm gonna widget align, and then the alignment's gonna be the top right. And we're just gonna grab that. Alright, so there's that, and then instead of all this, right, I can just go ahead and say this like so. Right, then now this row is gonna essentially have to leave. So all the 1, 2, 3 is gonna have to go here, and now I'm just gonna replace it with build list items, right? So right, so there's kind of now nothing there, right? So essentially what has to happen is that, you know, that list, right, I'm gonna have to recreate it. So maybe I don't want it to let it go right away, but I'm gonna need 1, 2, 3. So instead of containers. So essentially, right, what I was going to try to say, I'm going to try to say list generate let, and then say index. And just kind of delete this right here. I could also say I'll make a builder, and then this one a container. Equals pods index. Right, so that's what that child's gonna look like. And then undefined name is I. So index. Alright, and then we're essentially gonna say child's gonna be a child, and that's gonna be that. Right, so now I build list items. Say create the profile header. And then I'll create the update the user form. Right, so and all its values. And then I'll create the user favorites like so. Right, and now, right, this could go essentially. Right, so let's try to see if we can get any animation going, or we're kind of tough on luck here, right? So one thing I noticed is that a line, so I gotta like try to swap everything around here. Right, so align, and alignment is going to be alignment top right, and then say yes you can. I need that to happen here. Right, so there's kind of that. Right, so there's kind of that. And now looks like I'm not using animate anymore. Interesting. I gotta try to see now. With all that said, I gotta try to take a closer look at what's happening, right? Because it's going to animate to a finishing point. Or if I kind of do, oh. So basically the forward is, so basically from forward it kind of goes from here, from closed all the way to open. That's how I'm kind of finding this thing. Right, so this is kind of reverse, and then this kind of goes forward. Right, so essentially what kind of needs to happen is that so from the, right, so where is the, right, so I'm going to build list items. So what kind of needs to happen here is that these list items, they need to start at the appropriate, they need to start at the appropriate place, right? So if I try to see what that is, slide distance animation percent around that to figure this out. All right, so after a bit of playing around, these intervals, right? their start and end times, they have to be beneath 1, right? And since I don't have like a function to try to translate, essentially what I want to try to do with this animation is that I need like a function to try to translate this logic, right? But I kind of don't really have that with me, right? So that's okay, right? So now all that kind of matters now is, the widgets out dealing with and making sure that they don't snap their constraints, right? So if I kind of, right, good. So that's 1 and 2. So those are going well, but I think this one's gonna fail because, right, that kind of moves nicely, right? That's really interesting. That kind of moves nicely, right? But this one I'm gonna need it to be expanded, right? So I'm just gonna move the switcher. I hope I can wrap it with an expanded so I can see the values in there. So wrap with EXPAND. Let's try to see what that looks like. Or I could just say size box dot expand. Hopefully it'll try to expand to take it out. Kind of walks up the page. Yeah, so it's kind of tough dealing with columns and all that. So, but we're kind of getting the animation going like the way that we kind of want things, right? And now like things really kind of snap because it's not there. To do that. So let's try to say column, and then I think things are going to really start to snap here. Right, I kind of want this to expand to take the rest of the space here. But if anything, all I gotta do now is try to debug why this happens. It's one of the toughest problems, trying to get this to expand. I wonder if there should be values in there, right? But it's just a matter of, trying to get to the bottom of it. Alright, so, what I essentially done was that I've kind of updated my build list items to accept a predicate, wrapped with predicate. Say wrap predicate, right? So basically, if I kind of want to wrap this value with anything, I can, and I want to try to wrap it with expanded here, right? So this is going to allow me for it. So now these have to all turn into maps, right? So I believe this is going to be child. So let's say she is ILD. That's going to be 1. And then essentially what I have to do I have to close it off. Like so. And then it's complaining still. Right, so there's that, and then I think right here, right after it, it's going to be, that's not wrap predicate, and we take a child, and then what I'm going to do is I'm return the child is going to be that child right there. Alright, so hopefully, everything's good, everything kind of works as intended here. So my builder, and then child, like so. So I have to refresh the page, try to get this thing to cooperate. Alright, so now everything kind of set up, things should kind of work in our favor, right? So there is expanded, right? And then so now expanded's kind of like taking up the spaces necessary. Alright, but now what we're having to create user favorites, right? It's not taking up the space I kind of need to take up here. So I want to try to look into that and see what happened there. So I think it's kind of working here, but it's not working the way that's intended. So let's try to do a little test. And then I don't think I need alright, that's why. Alright, so I can remove this widget. Yeah, I can move the constraints, and then I should get to see everything. Right, so there we kind of go. So if we kind of go from here, and then kind of go from back, right, there's my animation. And then it doesn't also, you don't get that complaint about the overflow. So it's really cool. So I kind of want to reverse this. I think it would be better if it's all reversed. So let me try to see what that looks like if we could reverse the animation somehow. So here, it's going to be the list item. So I want this to try to go in the order. I wonder if it's going to have to be from animation %. Right? And essentially what I want to try to do is let's try to say pods minus 5. Try to see what that looks like. And then since we have like a for loop here, I can just say, alright, it's greater than or equal to 0, and then I say minus I. Let's try to see what that looks like. I want these to try to go in reverse here. Alright, so good. So basically, I forgot that 0 is kind of included, so this is the length of 3, so there's 4 values. But now I kind of got things to go in reverse. Right, and then there it is. So that's how we kind of get things to work. Now this one is constantly rebuilding for some reason. You know, I'm always dealing with this, but you know, I'm kind of happy with how far that came. Right, so that's how, you know, even though it's a long video, we kind of got to the end of it. Right, so that's the setup that's going to be required to try to do staggered animations. I definitely want to try to get this code out, but you know, I think I've taken this app a bit serious with the ads and all. So we're going to see in the future what that is. But for now, thank you guys for watching. You know, try to follow along, you know, for the code, and I'll try to update the code, like the relevant snippets, maybe not the whole app, but the relevant snippets we'll try to get out there. But thanks guys for watching. See you guys in the next one. And there won't be any next one, because that will be all. So thanks guys.